so far we go to the pipe, and now go through the manifold, and then go to the hose, and go to the drill, and that continue before we find out, like, what is the pressure at the tool. So from there we can continue with the pressure at the hose inlet. So hose inlet here, they just start go out of the manifold. So let's subtract all the loss through the pipe, through the fittings, through the manifold. So let's get that done. So P coil pressure at the hose inlet, or from the receiver, we had 110 psi. So initial 110. We have to subtract loss throughout the pipe and the fittings, and that we just determined 2.1. And then we need to subtract the pressure loss at the manifold, and the problem give us 2 psi, so that you have to subtract 2. So at the inlet we have 105.9 psi. And then we have to determine the hose pressure correction factor, and that also applied to table 5.9. So let's write down, when you have the pressure loss, then we can have the hose pressure correction factor. For those pressure different from 100 psi. And the same applied, similar to the pipe, we still use the same table 9.5. And let's go back to 9.5, table 9.5, for both pipe and hose, as you can see. And we have here at the inlet for the hose is 105.9 psi, so go that one. So it's somewhere between this 106, between this one. So interpolate, or you pick it about 0.95 at P 1.509 psig, so that we can be able to determine the hose pressure correction factor, in this case equal to 0.95, and that of course at pressure at P equal to 105.9 psig. Then from that we can be able to determine the pressure loss in hose. After find out the correction factor, we can be able to determine the pressure loss in hose. So what is the pressure loss? We call it PF, but because we already used PF for the pipe and now for the hose, I call that PF apostrophe. And here we need to determine a few things. First, what is the total length of the hose to the drill? And that from the problem here, you have 60 feet for each hose to the drill, from the manifold to drill here, as you can see. Then from that we can have similar to the pipe, so we have 60 feet. And then we need to determine what is the pressure loss in the hose. So we go to table 96. Go to table 96. That apply for the hose. And per, you see, 150 feet, not 1,000 feet as you see in the pipe. So every 50 feet. So we have the flow for each drill through the hose is 150. So it's somewhere between here. So let's take here 150 cubic feet per minute. And our pipe for the hose, here's the diameter is 1 inch, not 3. 3 is for the pipe, and then go to the hose is 1 inch. So we can be able to find out the column of 1 inch. That here. So it will be somewhere there. And that, if you interpolate between 3.1 and 3.4, 3.1 for 160 cubic feet per minute, 2.4 for 140 cubic feet per minute, 150, it will be 2.7. And that 2.7 of what? PSI per 50 feet of the hose. So from that we can be able to put back here. Instead of divide by 1,000 like the pipe, we divide by 50. Every 50 feet. Time 2.7, and that just show you that it's table 96. And then we time the correction factor 0.95, which is determined, and that we have the pressure loss for this one is 3.1 psig in the hose from the get out of the inlet, it means from the manifold to the drill, and that is the hose. So from that one we get the loss throughout the pipe, the fittings, manifold, and the hose. Then we can be able to determine what is the question looking for, which is the pressure at the tool. At tool, at each tool, of course, that is drill basically. So what do we have? We will have the PT equal to, from the inlet, the hose in the inlet 105.9, subtract the loss throughout the hose 3.1, then we will have 102.8 psig, and that basically the answer. So just go back to here to review the problem. The question asks, what is the pressure at the drill when the receiver generate 110 psi? And as you can see, from 110 go to the loss through the fitting, glove valve, and standard elbow, and 3 inches pipe for 1,000 feet, and then go to the loss in the manifold, and for each hose, then it go down to the drill. The pressure become from 110 to only 102.8 psi. And from that, when you determine with the specification of drill, you can be able to see whether the pressure is enough for the working of this drill.